So hi guys, some of you may remember I did an unpacking video of my new 360 Explorer. Well, since then I have had it out on the water, quite a lot, and I did experience a lot of problems with it. So much so that this is actually the second 360 Explorer. XL replaced it for me. Some people say it had a hooked hull. The main problem was that it wouldn't get above 14 knots and it wouldn't stay on the plane. It kept falling off the plane. Anyway, XL exchanged it for me, and this one performed much better. 21 knots. However, it was causing quite a little bit of ventilation. Now the reason for that ventilation is XL made the Explorer with a 16-inch transom, which isn't a problem. That is good for 90% of short shaft outboards. However, mine is a Mercury 20 horsepower EFI, and it was a problem for that particular outboard. It meant that the transom was an inch too high. So what I had to do was to trim the transom down by an inch, as you can see here. Wasn't a big job, just made it very square. Put an aluminium capping on after I'd sealed the transom. I sealed it with epoxy resin, and since then it's been absolutely superb. The boat performs excellently. However, I do have a big problem, and the problem being is that my dog Isla doesn't like being in this boat. And the reason why she doesn't like being in this boat is because the deck and the hull are as one. She can feel every single ripple through this deck, and she just doesn't like it. So my job today is to make a false deck. I'm going to make it out of plywood, and I'm going to make a false deck so it sits between the tubes and the deck here, spans right the way across to this side, underneath this tube and above the deck. Hopefully it shall be held in tight, and it shouldn't vibrate as much, and hopefully my dog will get to enjoy the sib again. Okay, I'll show you how we get on. So I've found that the easiest way to do an internal measurement is to take a piece of bamboo, cut it down, well, cut it to the length that you think it should be, slightly over, and then just keep trimming it down until you slide it under the tube and the deck on that side, and the tube and the deck on the opposite side. And when it's tight, obviously not over tight, but when it's tight, then that is the measurement that you need. You can then remove the bamboo stick, you can measure the bamboo stick and transfer that measurement to your piece of plywood. Once you've transferred that measurement to your 18mm piece of plywood, you can then cut it out to the correct size, radius the corners. Then next I'm going to radius all these edges with a handheld router, just to make it all smooth, and then we shall try it in the sib itself to make sure it actually fits, and it fits snugly. So as you can now see, all the edges have been routed with a radius cutter, lightly sanded down to make sure that there's no sharp edges, any splinters, and we shall now see if it fits between the tube and the deck. Right, so it fits, and it fits perfectly. Well, perfectly in my opinion anyway. This is where Isla, my dog, sits. She actually sits between me at the back and Diane at the front, and this was the part that was causing lots and lots of vibration for her, which she didn't like. It's now sitting proud of the deck, and I'm hoping that the vibration should be much less. As you can see, it is held in very tight. So I'll be testing that this week. If Isla does like it, I shall then epoxy it, seal it all up so that it lasts, and it'll probably last for the lifetime of this sib. One thing which I may do, I may actually put some skids, some blocks between this false deck and this air deck. My thought being is that if there is any flexing in this air deck, putting skids between the deck and the false deck, it may make for a totally smoother ride altogether. Anyway, we shall see. I shall be, as I say, shall be taking it out up to Ullswater to test it this week. So this is what I actually mean between having a skid between the false plywood deck and the V deck. As you can see, it runs the full length of the false plywood deck, and it's in contact with the V deck for its full length. Now what that should do is keep the air deck from flexing. That's the theory behind it anyway. I won't know until later this week when I actually test it for real out on the water. Okay, so this is Isla's deck board ready for testing, which will be later on this week. If it proves successful, I will cover it in epoxy to water seal it, and then probably put some EVA foam on the top of it to stop Isla from sliding around. Those of you with good eyesight will notice that these skids, battens, whatever you want to call them, are not completely parallel. They do taper into the center just a little bit. They also taper down, and then they are also at an angle as well. That's so that it accommodates the shape of the deck. Obviously once it's turned over, that's the part where Isla will hopefully sit on, and hopefully she'll enjoy the sib. The things you do for your pets, just to make sure that they can enjoy what you do. Hello.